Well, good evening, community. Good evening. This is Both Sides of the Conversation. I'm your co host, Mark Scott, filling in for the Bishop John Henry. As of course, as you can see, I'm all by myself this evening. So I am pulling double duty, but it is Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. You know what that means? We have another amazing episode of Hidden Gems, where we like to showcase and highlight businesses and people who are doing wonderful things in the community. And tonight we have a couple of amazing guests. But we want to make sure we can get the show started. And as always, we are committed to bringing you the news and events. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first headline. In national news, Bronx daycare owner and tenant now facing federal charges after child fentanyl exposure death. Two individuals, Gray Mendez and Carlisto Acevedo Brito, who were already in custody over the death of a 1-year-old at a Bronx daycare, are now facing federal charges. They are charged with narcotics possession with intent to distribute, resulting in death, and conspiracy to distribute narcotics, resulting in death. This is in connection with the overdose of four children under the age of 3, one of whom tragically died after being exposed to fentanyl at the daycare. The defendants are also accused of attempting to cover up the overdoses, and a kilogram of fentanyl was found stored on children's playmats at the facility. Also, in national headlines, 95-year-old political veteran wants to change how San Francisco votes. Quentin Kopp, a 95-year-old political veteran in San Francisco, has submitted a ballot measure for the March 2024 election that could change the composition of the Board of Supervisors. His proposal is a charter amendment that would allow all voters to participate in electing all 11 members of the Board of Supervisors, regardless of where they live. This would replace the current district-based system, and while COP expects it to pass due to the city's condition, it may face challenges as it requires support from current board members or petition signature from registered voters. COP's proposal aims to address growing dissatisfaction with the district elections in the city. And sickening feeling. San Francisco tech CEO blames himself as Airtable lays off more than 230 workers again. The San Francisco-based tech startup Airtable, renowned for its productive software, has announced the layoff of 237 employees, marking its second major workforce reduction in a year. This move will leave 27% of the company's employees jobless, and CEO Howie Liu, who previously navigated the company to an $11 billion valuation, attributes the layoffs to his own decision-making during an industry-wide hiring rush. Despite the regret he expressed, Liu sees the cuts as crucial for the firm's future stability and growth. Affected employees will receive 16 weeks of severance pay, 6 months of healthcare premiums, and some stock benefits. And also in local news, a 4.4 magnitude earthquake was felt in the Bay Area. A 4.4 magnitude earthquake struck Stanislaus County at around 9:15 p.m. on Monday night, with tremors felt as far as San Francisco. The United States Geological Survey reported the epicenter of the quake to be east of Patterson, California, just west of Interstate 5. Further updates on the earthquake are expected. It's a lot going on in the news around the world and in the nation. So y'all please take good care of yourselves. And now let's move on to our community events. All right, the APOC September General Meeting. Join us for a conversation about navigating SFUSD and understanding how the district serves double African American and Black students. Thursday, September 21st, 2023, 5:30 p.m. at 1520 Oakdale Avenue in San Francisco. And APRI and Swinnerton are teaming up to bring you the STEM at the Park. It's for high school students who have a passion for exploring careers in STEM fields. It'll be held Saturday, September 23rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at India Basin Shoreline Park in San Francisco. You don't want to miss out. And join the SFBLOC and its community partners for the African American Citywide Historic Context Statement Open Forum. on September 25th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Dr. George W. Davis Senior Center, located at 1753 Carroll Avenue in San Francisco. And the Empress Theater host, film director Britton Geyser's feature-length documentary, The 50, on Thursday, September 28th at 6 p.m., located at 330 Virginia Street in Vallejo. Question and answers to follow the screening. And join Bayview Maker's Kitchen North for a piano in the pedals every Saturday in September from 12 to 1 p.m. at 4100 3rd Street in San Francisco. And also, there's a new vaccination site for COVID-19 booster and monkeypox and antiviral pill treatment. They're Thursdays 1 to 5 p.m. at 330 Ellis Street, as well as Saturdays from 12 to 4 p.m. at 1221 Mission Street. And the community living room, open all day, Monday through Friday. Breakfast served from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. with a grab-and-go lunch from 2:30 to 3:30 at the City of Hope Cafe, located at 750 Ellis Street in San Francisco. And SFHRC proudly presents a convention with Nicole Hannah Jones, October the 5th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Doors will open at 5:30 at the Sidney Goldstein Theater, located at 275 Hayes Street in San Francisco. And join SFHRC for Pathways to Parity 2023, Strategies for Transformational Economic Empowerment on October 5th and 6th in San Francisco. For more information, please see the link below. And the SFHRC invites all Pathways to Parity 2023 conference attendees to join us for the summit closing celebration on October 6th at 6 p.m. at the City Hall, North Light Court. All My USOs invites you to support its blood drive on October 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 2055 Sunnydale Avenue in San Francisco. Sign up at the link below. And join the conversation at the YMCA Men's Harambe Cuts Shop Talk. Now, this is for ages 14 and up with complimentary refreshments and swag. It'll be Thursday, October the 12th from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Bayview YMCA, located at 1601 Lane Street there in San Francisco. And discover CCSF for 12th grade family Saturday, October the 14th at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Ocean Campus at 50 Frida Kahalo Way, San Francisco, in the multi-use building 140. Come out and learn why the City College of San Francisco is a great choice. All right, as y'all can tell, y'all give me a second. I am getting a bit tongue-tied. I want to make sure I catch my breath here. We'll get through all these announcements, community. All right. Push's Dance Company's Sanctuary grand opening will be Sunday, October the 15th at 447 Minna Street there in San Francisco. Tickets are on sale now. See the link below. An International Shakeout Day on October the 19th. Join in on the world's largest earthquake drill. Register, participate at the link in the description. And YCD presents the second annual District 10 Safety Plans Violence Prevention Peace Rally. There will be food, vendors, and raffles, music, and more. It'll be held Saturday, October the 21st from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Monarch Gardens at 428 11th Street. San Francisco, see the email link below for more information. And San Francisco Safe will have a Halloween candy explosion on Saturday, October the 29th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission is free, and the event will include food, carnival games, music, and more. It'll be at the Gilman Park at 903 Gilman Avenue. And Farmers Market, located at the Southeast Community Center, 1550 Evans Avenue, every Thursday, now through November 30th, from 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. They accept cash, debit, and EBT. And the OMI Cultural Participation Projects, The Lion King, Friday, December 8th at 7:30 p.m. at the Orpheum Theater, located at 1192 Market Street there in San Francisco. And the San Francisco African American Reparations Advisory Committee cordially invites you to be a part of the conversation every second Monday in 2023. You will you may attend in person at City Hall, located at 1 Dr. Carrollton B. Goodlett Place, or online by registering at the link below. And the Dreamkeeper San Francisco invites you to join us for our community updates every third Wednesday in 2023. These meetings are open to the public via Zoom. And for more information and the meeting link, please visit the site below. And Wu Yi presents the Holiday Pajama Jam for the Bottles and Blanket Pantry on Saturday, December 16th from 1 to 4 p.m. at 4900 3rd Street in San Francisco. They are a new nonprofit and donations are needed. And OMI Cultural Participation Projects, The Wiz, Saturday, January 27th at 2024 at 7:30 p.m. will be held at the Golden Gate Theater at 1 Taylor Street in San Francisco. And we also have San Francisco Human Rights Commission. They have regular bi-monthly commission meetings on the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. And in the San Francisco, there it's held in the San Francisco City Hall room number 416. You can also attend via Zoom. And be a mentor in San Francisco United School Districts. Join the SFUSD school-based mentoring program, Mentoring for Success. Sign up to volunteer as an individual or group mentor district-wide. See information in the link. And would you like to promote your business, nonprofit, or community impact? Then sign up to be one of our hidden gems, or you can share your expertise on Educational Thursdays, or you can also be a panelist on one of our Sunday conversations. And keep up with us, both sides of the conversation's latest shows and community outreach events. You can follow us on all social media platforms, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter at bsotc.org. And both sides of the conversation welcomes individuals who are interested in giving back to their community to join us as volunteers. We value the positive impact that volunteers can make and invite you to be a part of our mission to uplift and support our community. Both sides of the conversation also kindly request your invaluable support for our podcast and community engagement endeavors. We cordially invite you to explore any of our donation links, as your generous contributions will greatly aid us in being able to enhance our programming. And also, we would like to take this time to acknowledge the Dreamkeepers Initiative and its support of both sides of the conversation's programming. The Dreamkeeper Initiative amplifies the voices of and it invests in San Francisco's diverse Black communities to reform public safety and address structural inequities in San Francisco. For more information, visit the link to learn more. And okay, as always, we do look forward to having our upcoming shows, our Educational Thursday and our Sunday Conversation. And on this Sunday Conversation on the 17th at 4 p.m., we'll be discussing reframing the narrative, the dynamic of Black family and homes. And that will do it for our news and announcements. And now I'm getting ready to bring up our first hidden gem for the evening. Her name is Miss Tanisha Miller, and she is the director of Ladies Empower. And Ladies Empower is a 501c3 nonprofit organization founded in 2006 by sisters Tanisha and Raquel Miller. Having a passion to improve their community, the sisters decided to start an organization to support the youth. And in 2008, Ladies Empower began implementing a core curriculum focusing on mental and physical health as well as financial literacy. So with no further ado, let me introduce to some and present to others, Miss Tanisha Miller.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me tonight. And we love the support and we're here for it. Thank you.
Well, we are absolutely thrilled to have you here, Miss Miller. Definitely want to learn more about Ladies in Power, who you are, what you do, and how people can connect with you. So we're going to take this opportunity to turn it over to you and let the people know who you are.
Awesome. You gave us a great introduction, took some of the words right out of my mouth. But yes, Ladies in Power is a passion of mine. In '04, I was working in the Bayview. My sister and I, Raquel Miller, we're from Baby Hunters Point, and it was 2004, and I was working at Wells Fargo, and I didn't want to be working at Wells Fargo, but I needed a job. But it was awesome to be in my community, helping my community, my people. So my customers wanted no dealings with the banks other than cashing their checks, but I helped them develop an understanding of banking, what's their responsibility and what's the bank's responsibility. So as I was back in my community working, I just felt like I wanted to do more than just represent Wells Fargo. I want to represent me. So I tried to work at another nonprofit. It didn't work out. One of my customers said, I have a nonprofit. Her name is Alice, and she was a part of the Alamany Forum. So she brought me the documents. I didn't have no education in or background in nonprofit. I just had a passion to give back to the community. So I took a whole year to just read how to form a nonprofit in California, and I presented it to my sister and my cousins at the time after I had did all the paperwork because I wanted them to know that I was this was a passion that I was going to see through, and I wanted them to know how important it was to me. So I did the foundational work to present it to them, and then after that they jumped on board to support me, and then we filed for our 501(c)(3) in 2009, and we got it, and we just hit the ground running all for a very long time. It was just out of our own pocket, my sister and I. You know, it's different when you're from a place that deserve more than what they're receiving. So didn't matter if we were funded or not. We just was like, we're going to get together with some girls and we're going to do our best to give them what we knew was missing from when we were growing up. So that's the background of how Ladies in Power was founded. And then we, like I said, out of pocket, just wanting to give back. And then we were blessed to have the opportunity to become a part of the Dream Keepers initiative and receive funding, the first funding that, we apply for a lot of grants. And sometimes it feels like when you're Black and you're new, honestly, that's my true feeling. We're overlooked, and we were overlooked by a lot of organizations, a lot of government organizations throughout the city that just, to me, the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA's, they have a huge following, and they're, doing great things in our community, but it's different when you've been impacted by the deaths, when you've been impacted by living in, the housing projects and seeing things that no one, adults or children, should be witnessing. So when you have that background, have that experience, and you're talking to the youth, it's just different, and we've been able to make a huge impact in so many lives, and it's continuing, and we're excited about the future for Ladies in Power.
Wow. You've touched on a few things that are probably personally near and dear to my heart. The motivation behind starting a nonprofit, because most people don't know just how difficult the
Yes,
process by itself is, when and you have a heart and a motivation to do something good, and it takes money.
right.
Everything that has to get done, no matter how well intentioned, if it's not properly funded, things just do not get done.
That's true.
So in the beginning, you did your due diligence, you got the paperwork, you had the vision. What were you honestly wanting to see happen when you first started? Because I know everything that you've learned since then has kind of shaped it, but when you first started, what made you decide that you were going to do this no matter what?
Like I said, my sister and I, we lost a lot of friends, a lot of friends. I'm talking about I witnessed holding a friend in my arms saying, "Don't die." And when you see that, and you see that there's nothing changing from, and that happened, I believe, in 2003 when I was 23. We moved up to Harbor in '94, So imagine from 94 to 2003, nothing changed and so many lost lives being lost. You have to step back and say, the change that I want to see, that I know my community deserve, I have to be that person that pushes it through. And I'll be honest, I was very ashamed living in Hunters Point on Harbor. My grandparents owned the Victorian on Page Street across the street from the Boys and Girls Club. That was my address. Anytime anybody asked me, oh, I live on Page Street, across the street from the Boys and Girls Club, because I was embarrassed, friends, I would meet them over there. But it got to a point where, and I worked very young in the financial district, and this one particular incident always stands out for me, and I always go back to it. I was like 15 and working at Embarcadero One, and my only black, the youngest, and my coworkers at this time, a lot of violence, plaguing the community on the news, and it was two male coworkers. They were white, and they were just going in on the community, and I'm like, oh my god, if they know I'm from there, well, they're gonna think the same thing of me. So I was in that break room just shrinking, like, oh my God, no one can't know that I'm from there. I know those people that got killed, So I had to reflect from that time. I had to reflect and say, you're not what the media is representing of your community. Because, it's a whole different story. And I'm not saying the things that's on the news aren't true. Most of the time they are, but that doesn't represent who Baby Hunters Point is. So another time came about, same kind of situation in the break room. And I just stood up and said, I'm from there. And at this time, I had some credit because I had been working there for like almost 2 years. I had some ground to stand on, but I just said, I'm from there. And for them to view the people that they're, stereotyping, I'm from there. I know that person. And their look on their face was just total shock. Like, oh, they changed up their story, their demeanor, everything changed. And inside, I was like, I should have been stood up and said that. And as Tupac mentioned, the rose that grew from concrete. I always put that in my mind because you never know what a person's like. You can't look at me when you meet me and be like, oh, she grew up on Harbor, or she has, witnessed all these murders, or friends, or her dad was substance abuse. You can't look at me and tell that. So to group us all together as this stereotype, that's not fair. So I felt like I had to turn it from being embarrassed to be a voice for my community, be a light for my community, and express to the youth that's growing up, you don't have to go off the stereotype that society, the media has put on you. So that's what kept me in the fight to say, fund it or not, we're still going to do events, we're still going to support. We did breast cancer events, cervical cancer events, just pouring education into the community. And that's what kept my sister and I on the path of saying we're not going to give up. And I worked. I just stopped working for another company in 2020. And it's felt good to know, go follow your passion, follow your dreams, and give the world what you feel is needed. So that's what's kept us on this journey to change lives. And it's amazing hearing the testimonials from parents and the youth of how impactful Ladies in Power has been in their lives.
Wow. Again, I've raised three daughters. My youngest daughter is a freshman in college now,
Mhm.
and I can just tell you before I get into, because I do want to ask about some of the more structural aspects of what you do. But on a more personal note, when I see people like yourself who've come out of the neighborhood and been able to quote unquote get out and get around corporate America, and as they say, get out. Some people, when they get that opening, that window, they've seen so much of the neighborhood, they don't want to return, they don't want to come back, they just want to get out and escape. And again, I just want to kind of dig a little bit more into your why. What made you decide to come back? Because you could have code switched and kept it a thou and moved on, but you have such love for the people in the community. Can you just talk a little bit more about what motivated you and your sister to make sure you wanted to come back?
We lost our mom in 2021, but she still lived in the hood. She still lived on Osceola Lane, and my brother still lived there too. So even though I've traveled the world, I've lived many different places, having that connection still to the community with my mom living there, it just made me want to push harder on just seeing the change that I wanted to see, that I've always believed could happen. So no matter how far we've gone or went, it's always the foundation of wanting to see the people in our community better than. How they have that saying, leave the place better than which you left it for the people that's coming behind you. That's very important. And even at times when it's hard or you feel like you're not getting through to some of them, that doesn't put the fire out. It's like everybody deserves to be heard, everybody deserves to be seen, and everybody deserves to live in a safe, healthy, happy environment. And that's been my motivation of knowing that, you can go anywhere, but to be able to come home and be successful, give back, encourage people, that's what's important. So if the home foundation is gone, which is a lot of things changing in the city, it's like, what is it for? If the home foundation is there. That's why I feel like people being relocated out of San Francisco is heartbreaking because, I would like to drive by and show my son, oh, I grew up there, I worked there, but if you have no reason to go back, then it kind of removes us from our community.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to make sure we give you your flowers and commend you because it takes
Thank you.
a lot of sacrifice and a lot of commitment. It takes passion to do things, especially when sometimes it feels like the very people and community that you're fighting so hard to empower seems like they're the ones that are the most resistant. But
Yeah.
getting into the practical application of ladies in power, you touched on three areas, and I want to know, how do you design your core curriculum around the areas of mental health, physical health, and financial literacy?
Yes. So our program, it's Lovely Ladies University, and it's a 4-month structured program where each month the members, the girls, the age ranges between 12 and 17. So the first month they have their curriculum, their packet, it's mental health, and it's a week. We were meeting 3 days a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with the girls from like 4:30 to 7:30. But we're gonna change up our because we're open enrollment right now. So our fall session, we're gonna scale back one day because a lot of the girls that's enrolled have a lot of different activities. They're working, they're doing sports. So we just didn't want to overwhelm them with everything that they have going on so that they can still come to programming. So we're going to scale back a little bit, but we'll still do our mental health for the first month. And then at the end, we invite the families to come in because my ideal, I can't teach the member without teaching the family and ultimately teaching the community because it all goes together. We all have to be accountable for each other in each different stage so that for me, I feel like we'll see the real change. We have to tackle everyone, everybody have to be impacted. So then after we do mental health, we go into healthy living. My sister Raquel, she's a pro boxer. She's really into fitness, working out. We do a 2 times a year we do a fight like a girl where we invite young ladies to come out, build their self-esteem and confidence. It's an amazing event. At one time we had like 50 young girls and it was amazing. So we do that. We're thinking about doing another one before the end of the year. So with healthy living, we do presentations of smoothies, juicing, just giving them options and letting them know, this is a healthier option than just going to get fast food. And sometimes fast food is convenient because you got parents working and different things like that. So when we do our healthy living, we try to let them know these are the options that's out there for you. And also challenge the environment. Okay, there shouldn't be only liquor stores. We need healthy options in our community. We need different things that can help me live healthy. If I have to go across town to get the healthier options, that can be discouraging. So we try to let the members know and go back to the families and let them know these are the options, but also let's challenge these stores to have healthier options. However, a few years ago, Raquel and I was really upset because when we moved from my mom's, we transitioned from whole milk to 2% milk. But when we went back to the community, it wasn't an option. So we're like, we're tired of coming to the stores where there aren't healthier options, food and fruits and vegetables. But after a while, they changed. They started having healthier options. But a few, like I would say maybe a year or so later, we're like, where does the options go? And they're like, well, the community people aren't eating it and it's going bad, so we're wasting money. So you see, we can't advocate for healthier options and then we're not going to even eat the healthier options. So that was a challenge. So I tell the girls, you can't demand healthier options, but you're not going to purchase the items that they're, changing out the chips and the sodas for. So that's healthy living. And then financial literacy, to me, that was the hardest thing for me transitioning from high school to adulthood. I didn't have any financial literacy. I got a credit card, I maxed it out, and then I started getting got another credit card, maxed that out. So by the time I'm 21, I have bad credit. And I didn't blame my parents for not educating me, because my parents were cash type of people. They didn't know about credit. They didn't even want credit. Anytime I would talk to them about credit, it would be not a fight, but like, I'd rather pay cash. I don't want to owe nobody. So that mindset didn't help me. So I had to go through the bumps and the bruises on understanding what credit was, and not even just credit, but financial literacy, how to budget, how to save, what is a checking account really used for? What is a savings account? Just that information I felt was lacking, and I didn't receive it from home and I didn't receive it from school. So financial literacy, that curriculum is important because I really feel it sets up the youth on this is what happens next. So we're teaching them financial literacy at 10 years old. By the time they get 18, they're going to be so financially, educated. They should never have bad credit because that seed was planted a long time ago. And letting them know, a checking account, a savings account, just giving them that platform so that they can get that knowledge early on to set them up for their future. So that's how our curriculum came about. I thought about what is the most important. My mental health, I have to be mentally healthy so that I can know who I am, determine what situations are good, what situations are bad, which people are good or bad. And then I can have my mental together. But if I'm not healthy, I won't exist. And then the financial literacy tie it all in to say, okay, I'm mentally healthy, I'm physically healthy, and I'm financially healthy. I'm together now. So that's how the curriculum came about.
Wow. Again, it's such a critical time period too for young women coming of age, to be able, one, to have their mental health addressed and be sound is absolutely necessary. Physical health, again, that is your first level of real wealth, is being healthy mentally and
Right.
physically. And then when you talk about the financial literacy, so many of us just didn't have those conversations or discussions. So when we get out in this capitalistic world and we don't know the rules to the game, a lot of us are victimized financially
Right.
because we just didn't know. So you're addressing all of those areas. The one area, I'll be honest, that I've got a question about: what about, or if, do you have conversations, or how do you help young ladies navigate probably one of the other big deciding factors on their quality of life is relationships? Like what kind of counsel or advice do you give them about how they should approach or address relationships going into young adulthood?
A great question. So, in our mental health, our healthy living, no, I'm sorry, mental health curriculum, at the end, that's when we start talking about things that's centered around relationships. What is a healthy relationship? How to identify a healthy relationship, and knowing how to make choices and decisions entering that rim of dating and building those kind of relationships. So the early part of it is just focusing on building up the individual. So that my mom, all she always told my sister and I and my brothers to, you know, be conceited, be confident, know who you are, love yourself. So, and I remember being younger, I would say, I love me all the time. It was like this big thing about, I love me, I love me. I remember that so much, like I'm like 14, 15. So I feel like when you know your value and your worth, it's impossible to stay in a situation where you're not being valued. And that's like for me, my relationship issues that I experienced, I always put me first, no matter if it was going to affect someone else, even down to my son. I didn't stay in the relationship with his dad based off of feeling like my worth wasn't being recognized. So I felt like instead of staying in a toxic situation, and to me, to others, they might hear my story like that wasn't toxic, but I have the right to measure what I feel like is toxic and not, even if it's the smallest thing. If if I don't value me, how can I expect someone else to value me? You can't. So instilling the self-value and the self-love in the girls early on in our curriculum, I feel like at the end it helps them understand that's not a valued relationship. And this time it's hard. It's so hard right now to instill self-worth and self-love and self-value because you have so many negative images being presented to you. We didn't have to deal with social media. So the young ladies now, it's you're being attacked from what you see visually, what you're hearing, so it's like it's such a war right now with uplifting self-love and self-value that we start there so that as we build that foundation, get into relationships, they're like, you know, I don't think that's good for me. And as I tell you, some of the girls in there in our program, like, and he did this and he did that. And by the end, they're like, I don't even like him anymore. And I'm like, that's good. If you recognize that he's not adding value to your life, you have to be the one to say, no, it's not working for me. So it was awesome to see that the girls, were picking up the seeds that were planted and seeing the fruit grow, just them being, you know, more vocal about what they're accepting. So that was really awesome.
That is good to hear. And speaking of some of the seeds that you've planted, can
Uh-huh.
you share a success story or two from some of the ladies that have gone through the organization that have stood out to you?
Yes, I would say one of our youth, her name is Isis Monroe, Milan, I'm sorry. She came, her and her mom and I went to high school together. And I just happened to see her mom at an event that we were doing recruiting. We were over in the Fillmore. And she was always like such a sweetheart in school. And she was like, "This is my daughter." And I was like, "Awesome. We got a program, Ladies in Power. We're helping out the young ladies." So she enrolled her and we talked and she was like, my daughter just was experiencing some depression. She was saying that, she wasn't making friends really well when, kind of a loner. And she shared the same sign as me, a Virgo. And I was thinking, I remember being in that place as a teenager, not really, wanting to make a whole bunch of friends. I had this one friend and, just dealing with certain things that I related to with ISIS. So she joined programming, and at first she was like in her shell, but then she just blossomed and she just started being more talkative, engaging with the girls. Her mom was saying, I believe she was in therapy, and she's like, Isis don't want to go to therapy. She just want to come to program, and she just want to come to program. And so just seeing her transition from this little girl in the shell and not wanting to be, around everybody, kind of like put her head on her phone, to this awesome blossom young lady. She, to this day, she was a senior. She's graduated. She's now at Southern State. She's making friends. She's happy. She's excited. And her mom gave us our flowers. Like, if my daughter didn't join Ladies in Power, wouldn't have felt comfortable enough letting her go out of state to go pursue her college degree. So that was an amazing just to be a part of her life and that journey for her. And she only joined at the beginning of the year. So just to see that transition. Another young lady, Michaela, she lost her dad about 4 years ago in violence. And when her mom came, and matter of fact, she heard about programming through Isis' mother. So when she came, same kind of sheltered, not really wanting to engage. Now, and she wasn't. Her mom was telling me like last semester she wasn't really doing good on her grades. She wasn't, leaving the house to be on time to school. I just got an update. she's getting all A's on time. Mom don't gotta wake her up in the morning. She's like ready to go. Okay, mom, leaving 15, 20 minutes before she has to leave. And her mom gives us so much credit for that change. She's in her mom, and she was in therapy too. So her mom and recommended Lays and Power to the Huckleberry Youth House. So it's just been amazing to see the transition. And it's a lot of girls that come in programming, they're sheltered, or they're a little feisty or something, and they see that, we operate on love. We encourage the girls to, we're a sisterhood first, and we let them know there's not going to be any cattiness. We're all here to love on each other and to support each other, and I guarantee you that's exactly what goes on. The girls are, best friends. They're exchanging numbers, and just building that sisterhood that I feel is so much needed, but is neglected and not supported, honestly. So those are my two girls. Kriya, she's another girl, young lady of ours. She's into volleyball, and she's just amazing. She's just a rock star. So we got some girls that's out there, representing and doing us justice.
Well, I can tell by the smile on your face as you mention those names, the investment has definitely been worth it. And again, we could probably keep you here all evening, but I do want to respect your time, Miss Miller. But before we let you go, I do want to give you an opportunity to give any shout outs or anybody that is supported, sold into you, been there for you, anybody you want to acknowledge. Here's your opportunity to give them their flowers. And of course, as you know, community, you can see where to find her. They're scrolling across the bottom of the screen. But Miss Miller, please, any parting words or flowers you want to give?
Definitely. My sister Raquel Miller has always supported me, has always rooted for me, always encouraged me. Anything I wanted to do, she right there by my side. Okay, let's what I need to do, what I need to do. So I want to give her the flowers that she deserved. My god sister Marnice Campbell, she she stepped in and helped out when I needed her the most with programming with the young ladies. One of my mentors, Loretta Widow, she inspired me at young girl at 16, working at her cafe in the Bayview, to want to be an entrepreneur. And my dad, he's an amazing dad. He supported us, he encouraged us, he's always showing up. My mom, even though she's not here, she believed so much in Ladies in Power. She donated to us when she didn't have it. She showed up for us when she, was in pain or didn't really want to come. She always showed up for us and always motivated us and encouraged us. So those are the people that, uh, allowed me to be here today. My son, he is my little assistant, and he's so supportive. He's so, I'll come from programming like, oh man, the girls today, and what did those girls do? What did they do? So I tell them, and then like the next week, you're like, so did they get it together? Are they doing what they're supposed to do? Yes, they are. So those are my rocks, and they keep me grounded, they keep me excited, and they keep me fueling my passion. So thank you guys.
Wow, wow. Well, on behalf
Oh,
of
and HRC for believing in us, the Dreamkeeper Initiative, Dr. Director Davis, and we have a history with Dr. Director Davis. She was a part of she was at the church. We went to the same church for some years, and beautiful person. I just thankful for our city for believing in us and giving us the shot to change lives. So, and Lila, my grant manager, she's awesome. She's an amazing person. So, those are the people that keep me motivated to keep doing the work.
all right. Anybody else? I'm just gonna make sure because if you got any more names that pop up, I want to make sure we get them all in, Miss Miller.
And that's them.
All right, all right. Well, again, on behalf of the Bishop John Henry, I know he wish he could have been here. He's out in the community. The entire both sides of the conversation staff. You were a hidden gem, and now you are a hidden gem no more. We have had the privilege and honor of publishing you to the rest of the community. Community, y'all, please partner up. Y'all support what the sisters are doing here with Ladies in Power.
Thank you.
Again, our women are the glue of our community. They hold our society together. So the more healthy, well-rounded, and just established our women are, the better we all are as a community. So again, Miss Miller, on behalf of both sides of the conversation, thank you. for your time
Thank
this
you for
evening.
having me. I appreciate it. See you soon.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Wow. A absolutely amazing guest. And again, um, yeah, our Ladies in Power is such an amazing thing. I just wish it would have been around for my daughters, but I'm proud of them. Shout out to the Golden Elites at Texas State University. Cameron, proud of you, princess. Now, I want to roll into introducing our next guest. His name is Mr. Cameron Clark, and he is the executive director of developing organizing visions for everyone, or better yet, known as Dove. The services provided are service connection, case management, system navigation, and court advocacy. Cameron is the founder and executive director of Developing Organization Visions for Everyone. It's a nonprofit to assist formerly incarcerated individuals to successfully reenter society by providing appropriate case management and support services. He's born and raised in Compton, California, and Cameron is one of four boys at an early age. He joined a gang and ultimately changed the course of his life. And at 15 years old, he was given 16 years to life in prison as a result of gang violence. Again, during his prison sentence, he was able to take advantage of the rehabilitative opportunities and classes where he received business completion and was part of an innovative group of 50 former lifers to become drug and alcohol counselors, credentialed by California Alcohol and Drug Addiction Counselors. Also, while he was incarcerated, he became a mentor, counseled other inmates about gangs and drug addiction. And after serving 19 years in prison, he was released and participated in the California Governor Jerry Brown's realignment initiative that reallocated funding to community-based organizations for treatment, job training, and housing opportunities. So as you can tell by the bio, he is well qualified to speak on this subject. So with no further ado, I want to introduce and bring up Mr. Cameron Clark.
Hey everybody,
Brother Clark,
how's
I think
everybody
you're on
doing?
mute. Can you hear? Okay,
Yeah,
there he
I
is.
can
There
hear
he is.
you.
Well,
Yeah, I can hear you.
well, glad to have you, Mr. Clark. Okay,
Nice
good.
to meet you.
We just might have a quick tech delay. It'd be all right. We'll get through it. But man, so glad to have you here. Please, I've read the bio. Introduce yourself. Tell the people what you're doing and how they can be a part of it.
Well, my name is Cameron Clark. I'm the executive director and founder of Dove, which is developing, organizing visions for everyone. But before I get into it, I want to let everybody know that the name Dove was a name that was given to me by the streets as a curse. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to give it back as a blessing. And so I took that name, that acronym, Dove, and I developed developing, organizing visions for everyone. I understand that at a very early age, I was working out of somebody else's vision for me. And now that I am who I am right now, I think that it's one of my primary goals to be able to, work with our youth in order to provide them with a vision to help them develop one and work towards it. Um, our organization deals with formerly incarcerated individuals that's coming back home to the community. Brothers, sisters, uncles, mothers, nieces, granddaughters. And I'm here to essentially provide them with effective case management services so that they can create normalcy back into their lives, to be able to be productive citizens of the community. So many times we parole from prison and we don't know of the resources that exist in the community, and we end up recidivating as a result of not having any assistance or any help. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to pay forward and be able to stand in the gap for these individuals to be able to provide them with appropriate case management services so that they could, qualify whatever they may qualify for. I want them to have. If it's medical, what do you qualify for? If it's benefits, if it's GA, SSI, SD, what do you qualify for? Let's get you on the ball. Let's get some money in your pocket. If it's going back to school, we hook them up with academic counselors in order for them to go back to school. We hook them up with the grants that are available so they won't have to come out of their pocket and pay for the education. If it's job training and placement, we do resume prep and things like that. And once we find you a job, We make sure that we get you suited and booted, we get your hair cut, and we personally take you down to the job interview. We teach you job etiquette so that when you go in, you know about that firm handshake, about looking the potential employer in the eyes, and being able to speak appropriately about what it is that you want to, do for the company. We do that. And housing is another thing that we do as well. As an organization dealing with other organizations in the community, such as Vallejo Together, we found that almost 80% of our homeless people are formerly incarcerated, and a lot of them can't qualify for homeless programs until they're 90 days homeless. Then and only then could they qualify. And I'm trying to, reshape that narrative of what homelessness looks like, especially for individuals that are formerly incarcerated. We come home, we're homeless. We just came back from a homeless type situation, and the county and the state needs to know that. And we need those services. If you come home and you go to a treatment program, after you do the treatment program and you graduate, you're homeless. A lot of people go to transitional programs. Once they finish that transitional program and they graduate, they're homeless. And you have a lot of people that parole to family members' houses that say you can parole here, but you can't stay here. And that's another sense of homelessness. And we have to understand the percentage of individuals that's being paroled to the counties of commitment, homeless to the streets. And until we figure out what's going on there and be able to provide effective services for these individuals, then and only then will we start to live in a safer community. That's one aspect of what I do. Another aspect of what we do as an organization is we advocate on the behalf of young adults and just the young people that's in court fighting their cases. We understand that a lot of these individuals are misled. A lot of them don't have a vision to work towards. A lot of them have family members that might be incarcerated or on drugs, and they're just looking for a way out. And so we try to partner with the courts in order to get them out of those situations while they're fighting their cases, provide them with case management services and prevention classes, such as gang addiction prevention, criminal and addictive thinking. We take them through the whole job training process. We partner up with workforce development in order to get them job positions and things like that, so that when time comes for the judge to decide whether or not he's going to incarcerate, then he'll decide whether or not he's going to allow them to be a part of the program or incarcerate. And so we have a number of amount of young people that's in college right now as a result of that. One of the main things is to be able to provide these young people with an alternative. When I was young and I was growing up in Compton, California, and I was selling marijuana because my mother was a drug addict and my father wasn't there for me. And we needed the income to be able to eat or to be able to buy my little brother some school clothes so that he can go to school. I remember selling this herb across the street from a church. And the preacher used to come out all the time and he used to say, hey, I'm going to set a speaker out here for you. And I'll be across the street with my friends and I'll be over there smoking or drinking. And although I never got high or drunk every time he had that speaker out, I was listening to what he had to say. And one day I told him, I said, look, man, I know that you want me to change and I know you want the best for me, but can I cut the church grass? Can I do this or can I do that? And there was never an alternative. And I used to get so mad with people who wanted change for me, but didn't bring me an alternative. And I used to always say, man, don't say nothing to me. You're not going to give me an alternative to change. So stop telling me that. And so this is something that I find in our youth today. When I'm talking to them about change, when I go up to the high schools and I tell them about, job opportunities and, not being caught up in that system, as far as incarceration is concerned, they want to know what I got for them. And so it's my job to make sure that I weed out every opportunity that may exist in the community for them to strive and move forward, for them to drop off their guns and say, hey, man, thank you. Here's this. I no longer need this. You get what I'm saying? For them to work towards something, developing, organizing visions for everyone, not my vision, your vision. What is it that you want to do? I see the hostility and the anger in you and the drive in you. Keep it, but I want you to redirect it and let's work towards this instead of that. And with that, I think that this has been the greatest thing that I've ever invested in my life. My grandfather used to tell me that the highest form of praise is to do your heart's desire because he gave it to you. And so to be in a position to give back to a community that I once took so selfishly from um, is it's ridiculous, man, to wake up in the morning to be able to be a part of the solution versus the problem. So that's just a little bit about me, but I'm pretty sure you got some more probing questions for me.
Well, brother Clark, I'll be quite honest, man. Just listening to the passion in your voice, I can tell that there's a level of sincerity and depth here that not everybody gets the chance to see.
Yes,
And a lot of what you do, honestly, is reminiscent of what the community used to get from the church back in
exactly,
the day.
exactly,
For
exactly.
you personally, in your own experience through your prison education and the counseling, how have you seen your views shaped and evolved for this mission that you're on?
Well, I think that the mission has always been a part of me as a result of my upbringing. I come from a household to where my father was very physically abusive to my mother, and my father used to drink and use drugs at that time. My mother really didn't. She was just a country bumpkin from Louisiana that was taking care of her kids and being a wife to her husband. And so she fell victim to a man who um, became a drug addict, right? And at a very early age, when he used to abuse her, I used to try to stop him from doing so. I would always try to, stand in the gap for her, and I never could. And when they got a divorce and he left, and she was left all alone with four boys, having no friends in the city, and just looking for that companionship, she met some individuals that did indulge, and she eventually started to indulge in a lifestyle as well. And I remember one thing that always used to shake my little mind when she would get intoxicated and say, "Well, I can't stand you. You remind me of your father." And therefore, she used to abuse me because, during the better times of our lives, by me being a straight A student and oratorical contest, there was a lot of attention placed on me when it was together. So when she would get drunk and drink, she would reminisce on that. And so a lot of that would come back on me. But the thing about it is that when I became incarcerated, I went through a self-exploration as far as trying to figure out how did I get to where I was at. Being an individual who was a straight A student, was on the honor roll, who had did a function for Dianne Feinstein when I was young, playing the trumpet for the high school, and being in prison with a life sentence. I really had to reflect back on my life. Not only did I forfeit my life to these individuals who said that they cared about me, this gang, I understand that I was supplementing for something that I didn't have. I didn't have the family structure. So my homeboys became the family structure. I didn't have protection. They became my protection. I didn't have nurture. And when they took care of me and made sure that I had what I needed as a young person, that was nurture. So they became my family in essence. But once I reflected back and started to really think that, like, all of the things that I didn't have, and how did I get to the point to where I'm actually doing a life sentence in the pen, I had to start at the root. And the root was my mother. And I heard that she had rehabilitated after maybe about 12 years being incarcerated. And I was already on the verge of contemplating change. I just didn't know how to do it. And so I needed to understand my story first. And I went to my mom's and I told my mom's on the phone. I called her up and I told her, I would love to talk about what happened. And she didn't want to talk about what happened. So I hung up for 3 years. And then 3 years passed. And then I spoke to her again and she started crying. And she said, son, you know, your grandfather used to take advantage of me when I was young. And I said, what? Then and there, I had to realize that my mother was a young person. She was a little girl. She went through family trauma. She went through, you know, so much that I couldn't even comprehend that, you know, there were some things that she couldn't give me because those things was never given to her. And then she got with my father, which was an abusive person. And, you know, things just systematically took place to where we were neglected or we were abused or, and I got to the point to where I thought my small little mind that I was independent enough to do it myself. And I became incarcerated. Once I realized that and I accepted that, there was one thing that I wanted to do on the forefront. I wanted to be there for my mother the way I couldn't be there for her when I was a young kid. And so I entered into the 50 program, which is the OMCP program while I was incarcerated. It's the Offenders Mentor Certification Program. The warden came up to me and asked me, how can we bring about change in the prison? And I told him, allow us to teach us. And so it was crazy idea, but 8 months later, he came back and he said that he got with an organization called CADAC, California Alcohol and Drug Addiction Counselors, and they was willing to come in and teach 50 inmates about being drug and alcohol counselors. And 37 of us passed the curriculum. And then we started to give case management, well, not case management, but treatment to other inmates. And in doing that, I created a curriculum called Gang Addiction Prevention, which really highlights my life and how I became addicted to the lifestyle. And I started to give that to inmates while I was incarcerated. But this is the key thing. When I came home, you know, and maybe you'll ask me about this later, so I'll save that little bit. But one of the things that I knew is that I wanted to give back. And so in doing groups in prison, I ran across my father 1,000-fold in other individuals who happen to be incarcerated and telling their stories as me being a counselor now and helping the healing process with other inmates. I encountered my father thousands of times. And when I did come home from prison and I started to work for Options Recovery Services in Berkeley, I met my mother 1,000 times, right? And then my mother, you know, at some point she was homeless. And I transitioned over from that to an organization in San Francisco called Community Housing Partnership, where I provided formerly homeless people with permanent housing. So that was in a sense of me helping my mother again. So I did it on the drug front. I did it on the housing front. And one day I was looking in the mirror and I said, well, what about you? Like, Cameron, man, what about you? What about all of the little yous that are out there that are going undiagnosed, that are not being heard, that are, you know, just hoping that somebody can be able to just see them and diagnose their situation and provide them with a service. What do you want to do about it? You know? And I contemplated how I was going to approach it, what I was going to do about it for a while. And then it ultimately came about. And I'll tell you about that. But I want you to, if you have any questions, get that out of the way.
Brother, I've got so many questions flowing through my mind because you touched on some things about your mother finally being able to talk to you about what she went through, and it's a bigger picture for me personally as a Black man in our society. We get enough flack, like we get all the bad publicity. Some of it is absolutely deserved, a lot of it isn't, but it's hard to not get angry or bitter when you hear of all the poor examples of fathers and bad fathers so much. And how did you, having that epiphany about your mother and your parents and their humanity, how did that help you in your growing process to get to know yourself and not become bitter?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that I had to realize that it wasn't about me. The things that happened to me and the things that I experienced in my life, it just quite simply wasn't about me. You know, sometimes we take things like that personally. And I have brothers right now that take it personal to this day, and they act as if it was done to them deliberately, and so therefore they don't have a relationship with my mother the way in which they should. And so, I don't know what it is about me, but I realized one thing, that life is life, and that it didn't come with an instructional manual. And my mama tried her best, and she did her best in order to maintain herself and to raise her kids with what she had. And that right there, as a man, gives me an opportunity to take a knee when I'm talking to my 10-year-old, to explain to him, things that I might be frustrated about, so that he can see me eye to eye. It gives me an opportunity to be able to discuss what's taking place in the news today with our people, or for him being a young black man and how he might be perceived in our community. It allows me the opportunity to let him know that his movement, his steps, and his decision making are going to be judged critically. So he has to be mindful about what he does as a young black boy in the community. It makes me think more critically as a father, and I know that we're getting low on time, but I wanted to highlight something for you. And this is a part of my blessing. There's a whole lot of things that I've been blessed with on this earth. Coming home and even while incarcerated, one of the things that I want to pay homage to, or one of the people that I wanted to pay homage to, is this. First, I'm gonna just give you this story. I'm coming home, I'm thinking I'm doing right, and I know I'm doing right because it feels good, and I'm seeing people's lives being affected, and I'm working for other individuals, and I'm doing a permanent housing for formerly homeless, and I'm doing a drug and alcohol treatment for the fathers, and all of this stuff. But like I said before, I was missing me. How can I reach back and give to me, the ones that are still living and breathing in the community that we see walk down the street every single day that's being victimized, right? What can I do for that? And I was at a point in my life to where I would toss and turn in the morning. And my fiance, her name is Cassandra James, I'm pretty sure you know her. She told me one morning, she said, "You don't want to go to work today, huh?" And I said, "Nah, not really." She said, "I know." She said, "Listen, don't you want to do your nonprofit?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Listen, as long as you're working towards that, don't worry about nothing. I got us. You work towards what you want to do. I got us." And I started laughing, and I said, "You got us? What do you mean you got us? You what, for a week, 2 weeks? But I'm gonna tell you this: every Monday morning I woke up, I had something in my pocket to motivate me to get out there and seek out this vision of mine. And it was this woman, this beautiful young lady that I was blessed to to talk to spend time with, oh my God, it's just so many other descriptions that I could bring out or make mention of, but it was because of her, that finally pushed me and motivated me to work towards my vision. And and it took me 9 months to establish it. COVID hit. I kept it afloat, and when it was time to rise, she was right there with me. And now here it is. We're in a situation to where we're providing services for the most vulnerable in the community, and it feels good, man. It feels good I just recently did a back to school clothes giveaway, where I was able to give each kid 3 pairs of pants, a pair of shoes, 3 shirts, and some jackets and stuff like that. And to see these little eyes just spark up when receiving these things, and knowing how I felt, when I was a kid, having my school clothes on, before the next day, I was like, "Oh, I'm a killer when I get to school in the morning. I'm a killer." And to see some of these same little attitudes, and being able to be able to stand in the gap for them is, oh my God, it's unspeakable. But I just wanted to let her know that I appreciate her and all of the hard work that she does as being a queen, and supporting her king and our 2 little princess, our two little sons. And yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a
Wow.
blessing.
Man, I can tell that you are a man who's rich in so many ways. I can tell your passion, your heart, your spirit is one. I'll be quite honest, man. As I'm listening to you talk, you're reminding me of brother Deion Sanders right now, and just kind of what he's doing on the national level.
Yes,
There's
he
a
is.
certain frequency in your voice of
Yes,
wisdom and experience, but you have a real heart, and the thing is you're actually doing the work.
yeah,
For some reason it seems like the system at large,
yes,
whether intentionally or unintentionally,
yeah,
has dropped the ball on people in general.
yeah,
And to see you pick up that ball and make sure that the most vulnerable, the ones who get passed over and looked down upon the most, are getting the resources that they need. Because I know exactly what you mean. Like I said, I went in when I was 19, came out when I was 26 in 2003.
wow,
And I remember that sense of not knowing who I was, what I was going to do, and just kind of hoping that I would figure it out. And I was thankful I had family around me to support. But brother, I know what you're doing means the world to people. And
oh,
and I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about some of the government initiatives and some of the impact that you've been able to get these resources and have success stories. What are some of the good stories that brother that you've been able to turn out through your work with Dove?
yeah. Well, the first one was AB 900, which gave us an opportunity to be able to provide services while incarcerated as an inmate. For them to just take a step back and say, let's reinvent the wheel. What is it that we need to do as a governmental structure, as far as California is concerned, to bring about the change in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, working with individuals like Kathy Jett, which was the director of corrections at the time, and for her to say, well, let's give them what it is that they need in order to bring about this change and trust in these inmates, which is something monumental. Another thing is the initiative as far as was it AB 47? No, was it let's talk about some of the grants. The BSCC grant, of the Warm Handoff grant, where our organization is receiving funds in order to meet the needs for these individuals to come home and say, hey, I need help. I'm formerly incarcerated. Even those that have discharged their CDCR numbers that might be finding difficulties in order to reintegrate, we're snatching them up. You know what I'm saying? Proposition 47, which is an initiative that came about, and we're working with the Vallejo Police Department to provide services for Tay youth. For individuals that's transitioning until adulthood that really don't have anything, for the foster care individuals that's trying to come into themselves, just being able to be in a gap or stand in the gap for them, and working with other community organizations. It's one thing to say, gimme. But it's another thing to say, well, yeah, I got him, you straight. Okay, cool. Well, look here, I need to refer you to them because they have the other piece to this puzzle. So let's get with them to see if you can get housing, or let's get with them to see if we can get you some emergency this or whatever else. That component is a beautiful thing because we can't provide it all. So when we create these MOUs with other community-based organizations and they're on point with us, to be able to provide the community with what they need is monumental. The Boys and Girls Empowerment Group is right next to me. They provide everything. An individual will get a house, he provides the whole furniture for the whole house. He has food bank opportunities for individuals. It's so many things that we have to offer this demographic, for them not to be able to just look back and consider the things of old, but to move forward and have faith in a system that we've been able to create as a community. It means so much to me to be a part of that. And so, yeah, it's a blessing.
Well, brother, it truly is a blessing, and you are a blessing. And I want to take this opportunity, man, to give you your respect, give you your flowers. A lot of times, man, we don't get appreciated till after we gone for what we've done. But man, you're in the thick of it, in the trenches, making it happen. Again, this is a hidden gem segment, but now community, he's not hidden.
Right.
I think you're going to be, you're in the documentary, the 50.
Yes, I am. I'm one of the main characters in the 50. And I want you guys to be able to go out and check that out to see the process in which we had to go through in order to get back afloat with what it is and who we are as what mama and daddy named us, Cameron. Not the gang name, not the, the moniker or anything like that, because it's a lot of hurt and pain behind those names. It's a lot of hurt and pain behind those gestures of wanting to be hard or a gangster. And just see the movie, look at the process in which we were able to deal with those things, set it aside, and move forward, and then be able to give back as contributing members of the community.
Well, Brother Cameron, again, don't want to take up too much of your time. It is getting late into the evening, but I do want to make sure we give you an opportunity. If there are any other words of wisdom, acknowledgments, shout outs, anything else you want to give, man, lead the community with, please, brother. This is your opportunity. The stage is yours.
Yeah, I see in the chat it says it's a question from it says, why are you so hopeful? Because I present with this energy, right? And I present with this, matter of factness as far as what it is that I'm dealing with in the community and the services we provide, and just having a hope that, we can get whatever it is that an individual needs in order to function, stay afloat and out of the system. I think that I'm so hopeful because of my kids, man. I mean, they said that the revolution would not be televised. We're not going to see it on TV. The revolution is in the eyes and the minds of the children that are growing up, and if we have an opportunity to teach them what's right and to lead them in the right direction as they grow, they start to implement what it is that they've learned from you and me and from, what's right in this world. And I'm so hopeful because of the questions I'm being asked by my sons. I'm so hopeful because of who my partner is and her drive and her vision for the future for our community as an individual who's running for the supervisor of Solano, and to actually have a format and a stance or, a plan for us that motivates me. And that's why I'm hopeful. And programs such as this, both sides of the conversation, gives individuals an opportunity to experience something that they're not, experiencing on an everyday basis. You get what I'm saying? And for anybody that's looking at this, be blessed to have this. I know that this is something that I'm blessed to have and that I look forward to viewing from this point on. And so thank you. You're a part of the reason why I'm hopeful.
Well, brother, we are absolutely honored to have you on the platform for sure. And there's no doubt, as you say, you are a solution to a problem that exists in the world.
Wow.
So want to continue to encourage you, brother, and support you to continue solving problems and bringing a light and solutions to the community and to people, man. You be blessed, Brother Clark. Thank you.
You too. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Wow, community. There we have it. We've been blessed with two amazing and strong, shining hidden gems in the community. So again, we want to make sure we thank the founders, the director of Ladies in Power, Miss Tanisha Miller, and of course the executive director there, Mr. Cameron Clark of Dove. And on behalf of the Bishop John Henry and the entire staff and all the volunteers here at both sides of the conversation community, we want you to know we love you. We want you to be blessed. We want you to have all the information and all the resources, and we are committed to bringing you both sides of the conversation. So again, on behalf of the entire BSOTC family, Have a fantastic night. Bye-bye.